Hello and welcome to your practice. Today's class will be a much slower, more introspective class whereby we will take more time as we transition from posture to posture, allowing yourself to move inward, to sense into how you're feeling both physically and mentally, whilst also taking care as we transition between the postures. During the end of the class, we will move into longer held postures and see those as moments for meditation, whereby you find stillness in the shape. And with this class, I've also created a playlist that I feel works beautifully as an accompaniment. So you're welcome to practice along with that. I've posted that in the description section below. However, if you'd prefer just to be immersed in the sounds that surround you and let that be your music and enjoy the practice as it is. So with that being said, let's find our way into a tabletop. You can choose to use some blocks to accompany your journey. You may or may not need them, but I've got them just in case I choose to change my mind along the way. And let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to start my music now, and if you want to start at the same point, it's not completely necessary, but yeah, there's enough tracks there to assist. Okay, let's go. Hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. And allow yourself just to sway from side to side, pressing into one hand and then the other. Keeping your toes tucked or untucked. And just feel the feedback from the earth beneath you as you press and change the pressure from side to side. Now let's move into big circles around the wrists. And at the top of the circles, let's start your inhale. So breathing in. And then when you reach the top, exhale through the nose. You can close your eyes here. And if you're familiar with Ujjayi breath, that slight constriction at the back of the throat, you can engage that now. Otherwise, just continue to breathe slowly in and out through your nose. Let's change directions. Inhale. And exhale. And your circles can be large or small. And taking your mind to the wrists and the hands. You can follow me and go at my pace or follow your own. I encourage you to follow your own. Nice. Let's come back to center and let's move into cat-cows. So starting with your neutral spine, begin at the bottom of the spine, lifting the tailbone slowly and working your way up one vertebra at a time. And as you reach the top of your inhale, your gaze lifts. Exhale, tucking the tailbone under. Your whole mind in the spine, moving piece by piece. And a slight engagement of the core muscles to help you move deeper into the movements. And breathing in, lifting the tailbone first. And exhale, tucking the tailbone first. The gaze moving last. Slowly, carefully, mindfully, we transition from place to place. Now this time, as you move into your cat pose, stay there. Untuck your toes and transition your hips back towards your heels. And as your hips reach the heels, as far as they'll go, begin to draw the hands back towards the knees. Now we'll tent up the fingers behind your back, fingers pointing out. Press into the shins to lift your hips up. And press your hips forward, navel hugging in towards the spine. And then opening the chest and letting your head relax if that's okay for the neck. And then slowly lower all the way down. Now this time, keep the left fingertips tented and sweep the right arm forward in front of the body. And as it reaches the side of the mat, press into the shins to lift the hips. And the arm keeps traveling all the way up and back. And your gaze lifts to the sky. Exhale, lower the hips down. And the hand retraces where it came from. And then fingertips to the back of the right side. And then inhale, semicircle your left arm up and over your head. Gaze lifts, chest lifts. Exhale, lower down. Now, if at any time you feel pain or a niggling sensation in your lower back, don't lift up so high. Everything here should be nice and gentle. And this is where the blocks can also come in handy. You can have the blocks at either side, at the back of the mat, and that will give you some extra lift. So we'll move through this for a few cycles more of breath. So if you'd like to transition onto blocks, you can do so now. And allow yourself just to sweep from side to side. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Pressing the hips forward. Perhaps you may have noticed at the beginning of this movement cycle some tightness or stickiness in the hips. But the longer and the more you move through these movements, these areas, the tissues, become more fluid and supple. That is the beauty of movement, as it assists the tissues in the body to feel more lubricated, and so your joints can glide easily. Okay, let's position our hands in the front of the mat, rising up into a tabletop, setting up for your downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, sit your hips back towards your heels, and then lift the knees, pressing into the hands, pushing the floor away as you lift the hips up towards the sky. Keep the heels high, and then gaze up towards your thighs. Okay. Let the head hang and dangle here. You can sway from side to side with the neck. Okay, and what I like to do next is spin the heels to the right side. So you've got toe to heel, right toe to left heel. And then bend the right knee and keep the left leg straight. Pressing firmly into the right hand. Encourage your gaze to move underneath your arm. And then we can pivot over to the second side. So now the left knee is bent, the right leg is straight, and gaze up and under the right arm, pressing firmly into the left hand. And your right fingertips can always lift up into a tented position, lighter. And then swaying from side to side, breathing in, gazing underneath the left, breathing out, moving to the right. And allow these movements to feel seamless and fluid, organic in nature. Making yourself lighter in your toes. And coming back into your downward facing dog. And your fingertips are spread wide. Press firmly down into the fingertips. Lift high up onto the tiptoes. A little bend in the knees to lift the hips up towards the sky. And now let's slowly move towards the hands. Just a gentle stroll, like a walking meditation. Thinking about how the foot lifts off the mat and as it steps forward, which toe lands first. And then noticing here, the closer you get to your hands, the more engagement and strength that is required in your upper body. Or perhaps the more flexibility you need in the hamstrings, so bending the knees. Pressing firmly into the fingertips. And then when you reach as close to the fingertips as you can, release feet wide as your hips. Hold on to opposite elbows and then sway from side to side. And allow the weight of the head to decompress the spine, being assisted by gravity to create space in the vertebra. Big breath in through the nose. And a sigh out the mouth. Now let go of the elbows, bending into the knees. Let the arms hang heavy, bending and rolling, rising into your Tadasana. Close the eyes. And notice the sensations in the body. Moving into stillness. Preparing for your flow. So find your way to the top of your mat. Feet hips distance apart. And just press into your feet. Pressing into the toes, the heels, rocking back and forward. Spreading your toes nice and wide. Pressing the big toe mounds into the floor. The pinky toes into the floor. The inner and outer heels. Can you see if you can lift through the middle of the arch of the foot? And by activating those muscles, notice how that creates a sense of grounding and stability in the lower body, particularly in the shins, in the feet. And with the stability in the lower body, how soft can you be in the shoulders? In the face. And relax the arms. Take a breath in and a breath out. Now let's engage the fingers, stretching them long, engaging the hands, just like you're engaging the feet. And on your next breath in, sweep your arms by your side and up towards the sky. Your gaze lifts past the thumbs. And as you exhale, trace the center line of your body from the third eye, the lips, the heart. And as you hinge from the hips, you fold forward, bending the knees softly. Fingertips can be on the floor, on blocks. Inhale, the fingertips lift up to the shins, halfway lift. And as you exhale, you fold, bending the knees, hinging. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, fold. Now plant the hands, step the right foot back and the left foot back. Breathing in and exhale all the way to the floor, slowly and carefully, landing down. Untuck the toes, keep them as wide as the mat here. Fingertips tented on the sides of the mat, or wider than the mat. Pressing firmly into the tops of your feet and drop your forehead down to the floor. Picking up from your heart first, inhale, you lift, undulating your spine into the shape of a cobra. And as you exhale, stretch the sternum, the front of the chest forward as you lower yourself back down again. Bring fluidity into the movement. Inhale, lifting from the back of the heart first. The head lifts last, and then your gaze gently moves towards the sky. Exhale slowly to the floor. And one more time, inhale. And exhale. Hands by your ribs, elbows squeeze in towards the sides of the body and press in through the upper body as you lower your hips towards your toes, toes touch. Glide your hands towards your knees and then behind your feet like we did before, lift up into our baby camel shape. And then exhale, lower the hips to the floor and slide your hands all the way forward. Rising up, first tabletop, tuck the toes into your downward facing dog. Gaze between the hands, step forward, one step at a time. Inhale, lengthen halfway, your fingertips can be on your shins. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, sweep the arms by your sides, all the way up to the sky. And straight away, we come all the way back down again. Exhale. Inhaling, halfway lift, fingertips on shins. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back. And on the same exhale, can you lower yourself slowly down towards the floor? Feet as wide as the mat. Fingertips tented outside of the mat, oscillating cobra. Lift the heart first. And flow. Exhale. Inhale, lift. And exhale. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Hands frame the rib cage. Tuck the toes, press yourself up. Hips back towards the heels, untuck your toes. Pull the hands towards your knees and then behind you. Inhale, lifts the hips, big breath. Exhale, hips to the heels and move into your downward facing dog. High up onto the tiptoes, gaze between your thumbs, bend the knees, step one foot and then the other. Half lift, big breath in. Exhale, fold. Sweep the arms by the sides, inhale. Exhale all the way down. Lengthen, inhale. Exhale, plant the hands all the way to the floor. Flowing cobra, toes wide, inhale. Exhale. Following your breath. And you can close your eyes here and tune in to the movement. Last one. Exhale, hands by your ribs, tuck the toes, up and back, down dog. Gaze between your hands, up high into the toes, bend the knees, one step or many all the way to the front. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Big breath in. Exhale. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands to the chest. One more, just like that. Inhale. And exhale, folding all the way down. Lengthen halfway. Plant the hands, step back all the way to the floor. Inhaling, flowing cobras. We'll take 3 of these. Last one. Pull the hands back. And again, sitting on the heels, fingertips behind you, pressing up your baby camel. And lower the hips. Hands forward, downward facing dog. Gaze between your hands here. Bending into your knees. And step your right foot to the outside of the right hand. Your lizard lunge. And this is where the blocks can come in really handy. Beginning with a little height. And then as the body softens, maybe you find a little depth or a little extra depth. So starting here, if you have blocks, use them. I'm starting on the middle height. If you don't have blocks, starting on your fingertips. Okay, so starting high. And just rocking forward and back. And feeling into the right hip. Maybe the back toes. Okay, now let's lower that back knee down. Open the chest, let the left hip sink a little closer towards the floor, and then pick it up. So pressing the left hip down, and then lifting. So moving in and out of the stretch. Again, all very gentle here and moving with your breath. Okay, so you can stay here with eyes closed, or you can move your forearms down to the blocks. interlacing your hands, and press the right knee in towards the right shoulder. And that sense of also pressing the right shoulder in towards the knee to create strength and engagement. You'll notice very quickly the heat begin to build. So while we are not in motion, our body is still building strength as we rest, active rest. So rather than sinking into our joints, we're bringing active engagement into that area, building strength around our stretch. And if you feel called, you can lower the blocks to their lowest height. Close your eyes and follow your breath. And in these longer held postures, if I notice my attention beginning to wander, I bring count to my breath. So breathing in for a count of 4 or 5, and then following that with a count of 4 or 5. And following the breath up through the back of the leg, the spine, all the way to the crown of the head. And then following that again, tracing the back line of the body. Staying engaged in the right leg. Keep pressing through the forearms so that you're not sinking into the shoulders. Noticing how stable you are in this stillness. Okay, coming out, pressing one hand into a block and then the other. And then let's step the left knee back an inch or a few and straighten out the right leg into our Ardha Hanuman, or half split position. And I like to use my blocks here so I can keep my chest lifted. And if you notice quite a pull in the back of the knee, bend the knee and press the right hip back and the left hip forward. And very gentle, small pulses as we hinge. Encouraging some fluidity and softness. Before we move into stillness. If you want to come down onto your forearms, starting with the highest height of the block. And if you don't have the blocks, just staying on your hands. Maintaining a long spine, tucking your chin slightly, long back of the neck. And your right toes and your ankle are flexed. Trying not to go too deep into the hamstring at this point. And only when you notice there's some space being created, the longer you stay in this posture, you can lower the forearms down a little bit more. And if you notice that any choice that you made is just a bit too much, move out of it. Return to the highest setting and soften the mind. There's never any reason to push yourself. Just allow these moments to be a space of exploration. Just observing the capacity in your body and accepting what is being presented in that moment for what it is. You don't have to know much about that or attach any reason to it. Just see whatever shows up as sensations. Okay, coming out of your fold, slowly and carefully, returning to the high setting of the blocks, and bend your knee. So sinking into the hip here, and then straightening the leg. And then bending and straightening. Good. Okay, so moving over to the second side, and we'll transition mindfully. You can always have your blocks underneath your hands if they're still there, and step back into your downward facing dog. Pausing in your down dog with or without the blocks. And breathing here. Your version of your down dog. And if your hands are on your blocks, I like to press the heel of the hand on the edge, especially because of the stickiness of these rubber mats. You can get a sensation of push, and that it helps lift the hips up a little higher. Okay, second side. Left foot to the outside of the left hand. Lizard lunge. First, just rocking back and forward, easing your way into the hip. Following your breath in and out through your nose. And now you're ready to ground down the back knee. And then moving into a slightly deeper version of your lizard lunge. Let yourself pause and notice what is going on with one side of the body compared to the other. For me, I have something going on in my right hip flexor that I don't want to aggravate in any way, so bringing some mindful movement to that. So notice if anything is showing up for you, rather than ignoring it and hoping that both sides are exactly the same, which of course they're not. Let it provide feedback to how deep you're able to go. Okay, maybe forearms lower down, and when they do, pressing the left knee in towards the shoulder, and the shoulder into the knee. And if you can create a little quiver through the body, sending messages to your muscles to work and to stay awake and alive. And if you want, you can lift up into the right knee and lower it down. But since I didn't do that on the first side, I'll just stay as I am. You can sway from side to side, just feeling into the sensations while you create a neutral position for yourself to rest. And then I notice here that some of the tightness is dissipating. So you can lower down to the lowest setting of your blocks. Continuing to maintain that engagement of the left knee into the shoulder. Lengthening through the spine, the crown of the head. And your breath long and soft. Notice if you're engaging around the jaw and the forehead. Can you let that go? Maybe a soft exhale to release. And again, if you notice your mind has wandered, bring it back to the breath. The 4 or 5 count. Pressing firm into the forearms, staying engaged in the upper body. We'll stay here for one more breath. Okay, let's press up into our hands. Walk the right knee back slightly, setting up for your lizard lunge. Moving with your blocks, starting high and then moving low. Big breath in. And a sigh. A lot can store up in the area of the hips. Particularly if you find yourself sitting at a desk for long periods of time. And whilst sitting at your desk, being involved in work that can create a level of stress. And the tissues in the body, the sensory receptors in the fascia can remember such stress. So bringing your mind into those areas as you move, and cognitively asking these tissues to let go, to release, whilst at the same time noticing the sensations and watching them pass, and lowering down if you feel called to do so. If you have space. Okay, maybe I was a little bit too adventurous there to begin, so high setting of the blocks, much nicer. And again, remember a little bend in the knee. The toes pressing back towards the shins. I particularly like this stretch as I have a lot of tightness in my calf muscles. So it helps it soften. After this activation, of course, allowing the blood to flow. Again, following your breath. Good. Pressing up onto the blocks. And just pressing forward into your low lunge and then into your half split. Feeling the blood flow. And our next position is downward facing dog. So if you're using your blocks, set them up. And in downward facing dog we meet. Head hangs heavy, knees bend, your heels can be high, resting the chest on the legs. Feeling the upper body arch. And then rolling into your plank pose. And in this position, we can move the blocks to the sides, actually up to the corners, so that they're not in the way. And we're working our way down towards our bellies. So a little bit of engagement in the upper body, or in the full body, to prepare us for our relaxation. So take another breath in here. And exhale, let's lower for a count of 10. So pressing into your toes, pressing your chest forward. And then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Have your elbows wide, your hands resting in front of you, and then your head resting on your hands. Let the shoulders release. Bring the toes to touch. And let the heels fall wide. Letting go of any control in your breathing. And be a big breath in and a sigh out through the mouth. Letting go of tension. Inhale. And exhale. And let's take the left hand out to a capital T position. And then the right fingertips by your chest. You can use one of these blocks as a little pillow for the left side of your head to rest on. Bend into the right knee and press into the right hand to roll you over into a shoulder stretch. And the right toes can land on the floor. Of course, they don't have to reach the floor. And let yourself relax into this shape. Long inhales and exhales. Feeling into the restorative nature of this posture. Let's stay for another 2 breaths. And then let's move towards the center again and switching sides. Right arm out to the right. Adjust if you need to, if you need a little more space. Right ear to the block or the floor. Bend into the left leg. And then move into your shoulder stretch on the right. And if you're someone who doesn't feel a lot of sensation in the shoulder, to add the sensation, you can wriggle your hand up on a diagonal towards your ear in that direction, in that angle. And if you need to come out of sensation, you move your hand down towards the hip until you find a space that works for you. But again, let this be a restorative space. There is no reason to push or strive to reach your full capacity. And instead, how soft can you be? Inhale. Let's transition slowly and carefully out of the posture. And then bring your hands to the top of your mat and press into the mat for a variation of a seal pose. And your hands can be forward to come out of the low back, or move your hands a little bit closer. But as soon as you feel, or if you feel an uncomfortable sensation in your lower spine, first of all, engage the lower belly in towards the rib cage to support the lower body, or just come out of it. Now sinking into the shoulders and let the head hang. Feeling propped up by the hands. Allowing your chest to hammock down. And take a big breath in, lift up. And let's thread the right hand all the way under the left arm and keep it traveling all the way to help you rotate and move onto your back. into your final resting pose. Into your Shavasana. So arms wide, legs wide. Take a big breath in and exhale with a sigh. Now take both hands to the abdomen. And to help the nervous system settle just that little bit more, let's do some Brahmari breathing. So all that is, take a deep inhale and then hum on your exhale. Breathing in. Breathe in. And let this be continuous. Moving at your pace. Last one. Release. Big breath in. And sigh. Arms by your sides. And I'll leave you here in Shavasana. And allow yourself to linger here for as long as you can. And allow yourself to bathe in your efforts and in the energy you have created. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Let me know how it goes. And see you on the mat again soon.